Hello everyone, welcome to my channel SW Metro official channel. Janelle Brown, one of the most beloved stars of TLC's long-running reality series Sister Wives, has always been seen as the practical, level-headed, and even-tempered wife among the Brown clan, but when she recently decided to speak out about Kody Brown's parenting style and the way he handled his responsibilities as the father of 18 children, fans were left utterly stunned. Not only by her honesty but also by the sheer weight of the revelations she delivered, because for years viewers had speculated about the tensions between Kody and his older children, particularly those he shared with Janelle and Christine, but never before had Janelle gone into such depth about how those cracks widened, how the family dynamics shifted, and how the choices Kody made ultimately affected the emotional and spiritual well-being of their children, especially as they grew into adults who began to see the world outside of the insular polygamous structure in which they were raised. And while many longtime viewers thought Janelle would always remain quietly supportive of Kody in public, she finally reached a point where she could no longer remain silent, and her candid remarks painted a sobering picture of a man who once preached about fatherhood and shared responsibility but, according to her, failed to follow through with consistent action. A reality that not only shocked fans but also sparked widespread discussions about parental accountability, favoritism, and the long-term effects of fractured family structures on children who did not ask to be born into such a complex web of relationships. And what struck fans the most about Janelle's statements was that she wasn't speaking with bitterness or malice, rather, she spoke with the same calm, matter-of-fact tone that has always defined her personality. But beneath that calmness was a clear disappointment that resonated with thousands of viewers who had followed the family's journey since its early days on TLC, when the Browns were still living in Utah and presenting themselves as a united front against societal prejudice toward polygamy, because over the years that facade of unity cracked wide open, and Janelle's recent reflections confirmed what many had already suspected, that Kody's parenting style, which once seemed energetic and full of intention, gradually shifted toward neglect, distance, and ultimately estrangement, especially from his older sons, such as Gabriel and Garrison, whose strained relationship with their father became a central storyline in recent seasons, and Janelle recalled moments where she pleaded with Kody to spend more time with the boys, to listen to their frustrations, and to be present in their lives beyond lectures and rules, but, as she revealed, her words often fell on deaf ears, leaving her to pick up the emotional slack as both a mother and, in many ways, the default parent who had to hold the household together while Kody increasingly invested his energy elsewhere, most notably with his fourth wife Robin and their younger children. And this disparity in attention and affection, according to Janelle, was one of the most damaging elements of their family's breakdown, because children, no matter how old they are, notice when they are treated as secondary or when they must compete for their father's love, and in her opinion, Kody never fully understood how deeply his favoritism hurt the older kids, who began to distance themselves from him, sometimes permanently. And what stunned fans the most was when Janelle admitted that she had seen these patterns forming years earlier but chose to stay silent for the sake of peace, something many mothers in complicated family systems can relate to, but eventually, after the family splintered, she felt she owed it to herself and to her children to speak her truth, and so she did, openly acknowledging that Kody's parenting, while once rooted in big dreams of being a guiding patriarch, often fell short in practice, especially as he became more controlling and less willing to hear dissent, and fans could not help but contrast Janelle's revelations with their own memories of early Sister Wives episodes, when Kody appeared to be a fun, adventurous father who loved road trips, game nights, and teaching his kids life lessons. But as time went on, the pressures of polygamy, the financial burdens of raising nearly 24 children, and the emotional toll of fractured marriages seemed to erode his ability to connect with his children in the ways that mattered most, leading to scenes where viewers could clearly see the pain in Gabriel's eyes when his father forgot his birthday or the bitterness in Garrison's voice when he said he no longer wanted to be around Kody. And Janelle's testimony about those moments confirmed what audiences had felt all along, that these weren't just reality TV storylines for entertainment but deeply real family wounds that would carry into adulthood, shaping how these children approached their own relationships and how they viewed the very idea of family itself. And what also shocked fans was Janelle's acknowledgement that her silence for so many years may have unintentionally contributed to the problem, because in trying to maintain peace and avoid conflict with Kody, she admitted that she may have enabled some of his behavior, choosing to shoulder more of the burden herself instead of demanding accountability. But now, after separating from Kody and finding her own independence, she has grown more reflective and determined to share her perspective honestly, even if it makes Kody uncomfortable, because as she pointed out, the children's voices often get lost in the noise of the adults' drama, yet they are the ones most deeply impacted by the choices made in their upbringing. And this brave act of speaking out not only empowered Janelle but also struck a chord with fans who praised her for putting the kids' experiences above the family's long-standing pattern of secrecy and deflection, because in polygamous cultures, there is often a heavy emphasis on protecting the patriarch's image, but Janelle broke that mold by refusing to sugarcoat the truth anymore, and fans online flooded social media with comments ranging from outrage at Kody's perceived neglect to admiration for Janelle's courage, with many saying that her words validated what they had long suspected but never heard confirmed until now. And what added another layer of depth to Janelle's statement was her insistence that, despite everything, she still believes Kody loves his children but simply lost sight of how to show it in ways that mattered to them, and while some fans interpreted this as Janelle softening the blow, others saw it as a testament to her balanced nature. She wasn't out to destroy Kody's reputation but rather to shine a light on the reality that love without consistent action often feels hollow, especially to children who crave stability, guidance, and unconditional support. And so, in the aftermath of her speaking out, fans began debating what this meant for the future of Sister Wives and whether the show should continue documenting the family's fractured journey or allow the Browns some space to heal privately. But one thing became clear. Janelle's decision to speak on Kody's parenting marked a turning point in how viewers understood the man who once positioned himself as the center of the Brown family universe, because now, through Janelle's lens, fans could see the cracks more vividly, the disappointments more painfully, and the consequences more realistically, and ultimately, whether fans agreed with every word or not, they could not deny that her revelations were a raw and necessary addition to the ongoing story of the Browns, reminding everyone that behind the polygamous drama and reality TV spectacle are real children and real parents grappling with the fallout of choices that will echo for generations to come. Janelle speaking out is crucial to understanding its impact. It came on the heels of the complete disintegration of the family, Christine's joyous and defiant exit, followed by Janelle's own quiet but firm separation, and Mary's long-awaited final departure, leaving only Robin, the perceived favorite wife, standing with an increasingly embittered and isolated Kody. As the family fractured, so too did the narrative control. The carefully managed storylines gave way to raw, unfiltered confessionals where the women, finally free from the pressure to protect the principle of plural marriage, began to articulate their years of pain. But where Christine's grievances were often centered on the romantic and emotional neglect within her own marriage, and Mary's on a decade of frozen isolation, Janelle's critique struck at something even more fundamental, the well-being of their children. She shifted the focus from the wives' wounded hearts to the children's fractured relationships with their father, an angle that resonated with fans on a deeply visceral level. Janelle's children, particularly her sons Garrison and Gabe, had become central figures in the family's COVID-19 conflict. Their heartfelt pleas for time with their father met with Kody's rigid, and often contradictory, rules and a clear loyalty to the rules established in Robin's home. Fans watched in real time as Kody prioritized his fear of the virus, and by extension Robin's concerns, over maintaining a connection with his other children, forgetting birthdays, missing milestones, and allowing weeks to turn into months without contact. However, Janelle's recent comments moved beyond the specific COVID conflicts into a broader, more damning indictment of Kody's entire approach to parenting. She revealed a pattern of absenteeism that predated the pandemic, suggesting that his involvement was often conditional and performative. She spoke of a father who was physically present but emotionally distant, whose interest in his children seemed to wax and wane based on his current relationship with their mother. This was the revelation that stunned fans. The idea that the large, boisterous Brown family, the very product and advertisement of their plural lifestyle, was in fact raised by a coalition of women who often parented alone, while Kody flitted between homes, playing the role of visiting dignitary rather than an engaged, day-to-day father. Janelle, in her characteristically straightforward manner, painted a picture of a man who enjoyed the idea of a large family, the identity it gave him, the spiritual currency it held, but lacked the emotional bandwidth and personal discipline to do the actual work of nurturing 18 individual relationships. She described the heartbreaking reality of her children feeling like they were on a rotating schedule for their father's attention, a schedule that increasingly stopped turning to their side of the family circle. This wasn't just about a father making mistakes, it was about a systemic failure built into a structure that he himself designed and dominated, a structure where his needs and his ego always came first. The fan reaction was a torrent of shock, validation, and outrage. Social media platforms erupted with comments and analyses, with an overwhelming consensus: Janelle, the family's rock, had just confirmed their worst suspicions. For years, I thought Janelle was just the easygoing one who didn't need much from Kody, one fan tweeted.